Here's a new method of getting some really great technique and effects on your resin art pieces. I watched a video by The Purple Stitch and she showed how she uses it on her tumblers. I decided why not use it right on one of my canvases. So here we go. Let's do this.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Moonkusser Art. This is Janet and we are going to be working on a ocean piece today with the resin. The resin I'll be using is from the EPOXY resin store. It's their premium clear epoxy resin, so it's kind of their entry-level resin, but I like working with it. It has a very low viscosity, so it spreads really thin and it sets up quickly, so it's perfect for what I'm going to be doing today. You can see that my canvas is already painted. I used some Rust-oleum protective enamel spray paint, and it's gloss, so it has a nice sheen to it. I like that because I want this first layer that I'm going to be putting down is going to be transparent. While it was still tacky outdoors where I spray painted it, I did put some of the Black Diamond Bora blue onto a paper towel, and I swiped that across the canvas, and now it's in there. It doesn't come off on my, well, a little bit comes off on my fingers. You can see just a touch of the sparkle there. But anyway, I wanted to try to give a little bit of a look of the water there in that turquoise color. And now I have prepared the back of my canvas. So let's flip this over. All right. And if you guys know me, you know that I like to support my canvases when I'm pouring resin. So in here I have a board and it is framed in there. I will give you a link. Where will the link? The link's going to be up here in this corner. So I'll put a link there that'll give you another video you can watch that'll go into greater detail about that. I do like to use, this is 3M painter's tape. This is their, they keep changing the name on me. Once it was called Sharp Lines, then it's called Easy Release, and I don't know what it's called now, but I will put a link in there for you. Well, this one, actually, it's upside down for you, but it says Sharp Lines. So I love this tape. It works really well for me, and I burnish the tape down. One of the things that's a little different about today is I have aluminum foil here on the back. Because I am pouring a layer of the resin now, I needed to put this on, and you'll understand further along exactly why did she put that foil on the back. So let's pour on a layer of resin.
All right, so this is a 16 by 20 gallery canvas, and I'm mixing up 8 ounces of the general use epoxy resin, and it blends very quickly. I'm going to also mix up a little bit of the Artisue Bright Gold and also a little bit of the Bora Blue from Black Diamond. So spread on the beach is going to be gold. I like the effect. It really pops on the canvas. And I'm going to clear coat the entire canvas quickly with the resin, and then add in some of the touches with that Bora Blue using my heat gun. I'm going to make that drift a little bit, and then fussing a little bit more with that beach area just to try to get it perfect. All right, we're out in the backyard. It's a beautiful day, and I have my Dawn Powerwash soap. And I have a container here, also some more Rust-oleum spray paint. This is their 2x Ultra coverage, and I will list that in the description box. I'm going to place my canvas, which has yogurt cups taped to the bottom so that it lifts off the bottom of the plastic in this container. I used some more of my favorite tape to make a blind over my beach area because I don't want any paint on that. And then I'm just going to start spritzing. So it's a quick trigger pull on the Dawn Power Wash. and this foam comes spewing out, and I'm just randomly placing that across the surface of the canvas. And I'm also going to make sure that I hit the sides carefully. I want that effect to carry over onto the sides because in this piece I'm going to be allowing the resin to flow over the edges. So anything that I do for a technique, I want that to carry over to the sides as well. So just putting a little bit more spritz here and there. And after giving my spray paint a good shake, I'm spritzing on some of the darker shade of turquoise. This is called Lagoon, and it shows up nicely against that lighter turquoise background. So I'm just lightly spritzing it. I'm trying to stay away from my tape line across the beach area because I don't want this darker turquoise blue to leave a tape line. So going carefully and then working my way around the canvas. I'm also spraying it onto the sides because that's where that foam from the power wash is sitting on those edges. And like I said before, I want this effect to carry across over onto the sides of this piece. Because I'm using the spray paint, I wanted to make sure I did this outside. It's a summer day. The temperature is about 82 degrees with bright sunshine, so I was hoping that all these things would work well together. Now you see I have my hose. I'm going to tilt my canvas and I'm going to wash that Dawn Power Wash dish soap right off the canvas, and having it sealed with the aluminum foil on the back and also that coat of resin, that makes me sure that it's going to keep my canvas from getting too soaking wet. You can see I already have some of the desired effects showing through here. I have some nice big water droplets sitting on top, and I'm going to come back and just hit it a couple more times with the spray paint, leaving that water just sitting there, because you can get this technique by having water droplets sitting on top as well. The power wash, it's really quick and easy to rinse off, but the water droplets will work as well. So I just spray right on top of those water droplets, grab my hose one more time, lift up my canvas, and I'm just going to rinse anything right off, and it goes into this container so that I'm not contaminating my lawn with any of these chemicals. Let's pick it up and let it drip off a little bit, and I'm going to set it in the sun to dry. All right, after about 30 minutes, everything is dry, and it has a really nice effect. Now, the resin layer is going to be really shiny, and the top layer is the spray paint, but that's a satin finish, so you can see that it's a little bit on the dull side. But once I put another coat of resin over top, that's going to brighten up and shine right back. But it gave some really cool effects. I like it. This is my first time trying this, so you're learning right along with me, and it worked really nicely. Look at that edge. Looks good. All right, let's get moving on. Okay, we're back into the studio again, and everything is dry. Look at these effects. I like it a lot. It's very subtle. I didn't want to go for a really striking difference, so I'm happy. I'm also using some of the Epoxy Resin Store's Super Gloss resin. Now this one has a really nice shine. It's also a little bit more viscous, so a little bit thicker than the general use. And I want that because I'm trying to build up a layer on here. So I'm going to batch up another 8 ounces of resin. And then I'm going to make up a little bit more of the Artisue Gold for on the beach, and also I'll be adding some of the Doc Martens Calligraphy ink. This is an iridescent ink, and it's called Jade. If you've never used this in resin, it's really nice. It does not fade in sunlight or UV, so I like it for that. Alcohol inks will fade with time. Very quickly because they are not light fast, but any of these calligraphy inks or acrylic inks, they're not going to fade on you. So I highly recommend using those in your resin pieces. So little bit. The eyedropper gets plugged up on these, so I end up just using my stick and adding the ink into this and a quick blend, and it's going to mix right in there. Just look at how pretty that is. It really adds a lovely little shimmer to your work when you're working on a ocean piece. Just really nice effect in that. So you might want to look into picking some of that up. All right. I'm also going to be using more of the gold. Again, this is Artisue. It's the bright gold. It's a metallic. It comes as a paste. Artisue brand is no more, and I love this stuff. It really has a nice way of making some effects all on its own in resin. So I'll blend that in real quick, and we'll get that set aside and ready to go. I let the resin sit for about 10 minutes to let it thicken up a little bit. I kept checking the sides of the cup to make sure it's not getting too hot, because you know, if you have too much in a container and a large quantity, it's going to superheat itself and freeze up in your cup, and I do not want that to happen. So I'm going to start by spreading a clear coat across the water area, and then I just use my gloved hand. I like to use my hand with the glove on it. I make sure it's a fresh glove and has no holes. I'm just going to work that across the whole canvas in the water area only, not to the beach area. You can see I bring it right to the beach area with my hand, but not touching on that gold area because I don't want the gold to diffuse out. So rub those sides down, make sure everything is covered, and that way I'm ready to start working, adding in more details on this piece. Now again, it's spreading it out like this. You know, I'm taking my time. I'm actually feeling how the resin is moving across the canvas. I also squat down and put the angle of light across my canvas so that I can make sure that I don't have any spots that I didn't apply any of the clear resin to, because that's going to determine how it flows across the canvas. All right, let's get that bubble torching going and clear that out. It's really important to have a face mask on. I wear a full face respirator, and that protects me because when you use a torch, the potential of creating smoke, if you linger too long in one spot, those are the vapors that can really affect you. So make sure that you think of safety and wear nitrile gloves. All right, here we go, adding some of that pretty jade. So I'm just putting some ribbons, letting it flow right off my popsicle stick. And then I'm going to come back in with a little bit more in those darker areas and torch it out. And now we'll add on some more of the gold beach. Just going to use my popsicle stick and spread that around. And then I'll go back with my gloved hand and same as before, make sure that I cover my sides carefully and then pop any bubbles with the torch. I don't want to use a heat gun because I don't want to drive the gold in. So now I'm going to make up some white for my waves. I'm using the FlowArt pigment from the EPOXY resin store. This is their white. It is a very bright white, my favorite white. I just love it. It's going to really do a spectacular job. So I have that ready to go and put some smaller ribbons across there. What I like to do is I put a line of the clear, then I come back with the white. I hit it with the torch, and then I drive it with my heat gun. It's got that nozzle tip on there, and it pushes it out and creates the lacing. So as I work with two hands, it really makes for nice effects. I go a little bit heavier once I get into the shoreline area. You can see I'm putting down some of the jade, then the clear, and then I hit it with the white and do the torch and the heat gun method to drive out the lacing and create those pretty waves. And I'm just going to fuss with this top corner a little bit. It's been about 50 minutes that I've been working this resin now. All right, now time to drop on some shells in the beach area. They're just randomly placed, and I like to add those. I've picked these up on my travels. I've been to the beach a couple of times, and they just, I don't know, they kind of enhance the whole thing, I think. All right, I brought you around to the other side of the table so you can see it from my view. Obviously, when I'm working on the ocean, I'm going to be pushing the air from the heat gun away from me, so that's why I turned that canvas around. Sorry about the bright lights, but you need them when you're working indoors.
Good morning, everybody. I'm out in my backyard and I'm going to be removing my back layer on this. You might notice that there is another layer of ocean waves on here. Once the last layer cured, I decided, well, I actually had a little spot in this area that had a bit of a divot from too much heat. So I wanted to cover that up and I wanted to get a really pristine surface on there. That's what I do. So I poured another layer, and in my rush, I forgot to film it for you, but check out the lacing here. It is just gorgeous. Really happy with how that turned out. And so let's get to taking the back off on here. So I have drips around the edge. And I'm going to be using my Dremel tool. So let's talk about that. This is my Dremel. I put it inside a sock and then I rubber band the top. And I do this because I burned out one from too much dust from my resin that gets drawn in through the vents here. And yeah, clogged up my Dremel and it quit working. So this is my filter for my Dremel because the resin dust is very fine and that protects that. So I've got that ready to go. You can see I have my goggles because again, I'm making dust and I don't want the dust to go in my eyes. So I wear my goggles and of course I wear a dust mask when I'm doing it. And it's well loved, but it works really good. It's great for dust particles. You can see it's well loved. It gets stored in my garage, getting kind of stinky, but with the mask situation what it is these days, it's working just fine, so I'll be popping that on. So one of the things that I have to worry about is I have my shells. And because these are sitting on the surface, of course they're popping out a little bit, so I have to protect them when I turn it over on the other side. So I have another towel that I'm going to put them on. So let's get that set up. So now you can see that drip edge that I'm talking about. Now that's a little bit, it's not going to just come off with my tape. So it's important, that last layer was poured last night. Everything has been poured within 24 hours of the previous pour. Sorry about the noise. It's garbage day here in my neighborhood. And it's also supposed to rain, so I'm out here first thing in the morning. So anyway, I'm going to Dremel off these edges. And then I will go back inside and I will use my heat gun to warm up the tape and remove that. And I'll film that for you as well.
All right, so I just hold it level. I shouldn't say level, I guess, I don't know. I just run along the edges there, and all of a sudden, yeah, my battery died. So I have 2 battery packs. There you can see those vents that I was talking about. And this is how I protect my Dremel. I've had this one now for 2 years, and seems to be working pretty good with my little sock filter. All right, back to using the Dremel. So I'm just going to keep going around the edge. I want to be careful that I don't go through the canvas. This is another reason why I leave the tape on. You can see this is creating a lot of dust, and leaving the tape and that foil on the back, it's going to protect my work. It's going to make my cleanup a lot easier. Just wipe it off with a towel real quick. There we go. And once I've removed all the dust, I start using the heat gun. I warm the tape. I make sure that I keep moving the heat gun. I don't hold it in one spot too long. That'll scorch the resin that's already down. And that tape will just lift off any stubborn spots. I use my utility knife. This is another layer of tape that I've put on that helps to keep that edge clean there. And then I take my brackets off the back, pop that board out, and I'm good to go. So here's a look of the finished piece. I am very happy with the final results. I like the detail I got in that gold beechimine. My lacing is really nice. There's another layer of the waves. The lacing art, it's just spectacular. I really love it. And look at the detail through these windows that go down to the bottom. You can see that effect that the Dawn Power Wash left behind with the technique of using the spray paint spritz over top of the other layer. It really is lovely, and anything that we can do to make for a prettier piece, by all means, I think it's a fun way to add some additional looks. So give it a try. It's a pretty easy way to get some effects, a lot of prep with that foil on the back, but it's all worth it. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to look in the description box. I'll have all the products that I use listed for you, along as some coupon codes. Please be sure to use them if you're shopping and buying some of these products. It does help to support my channel. And thanks for watching. We'll see you here next time on Moonkusser Art, and make it a great day.